to the penultimate day of the Predator Q's Premier League pool. An 8-day event. This is day 7. We're getting down to the really important stuff now. 10 players involved from the original 16. 6 of these at the end of this evening will go into phase 3 tomorrow. Jason Shaw tops the table from Joshua Filler. Skylar Woodward, Albin Aushin and Alexander Kazakis are also healthily placed, just 2 points off the top. In the bottom half of the table, though, then it becomes a little more precarious. The likes of Shane Van Boening and Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz with 12 points. They need a big day today, especially Sanchez-Ruiz, because he's played 2 more games than the American. David Al-Qaedi, he's got to win his last 3 matches and then just pray things go in his direction. As for Mieszko Fortunski and Omar Al-Shaheen, mathematically they are eliminated. So let's have a look at the order of play on both tables in this session. It's a Shane Van Boening double-header to start things off. If he can win both of those matches, prospects for him will be a lot more rosy. Then Al-Shaheen and Fortunski, the battle of the cellar dwellers. Albin Aushin plays back-to-back matches against Al-Qaedi and Fortunski. And then finally, the session concludes with Alexander Kazakis against the current table topper, Scotland's Jason Shaw. So 6 matches on table 1, only the 5 over on table 2. And you can see all of those by accessing Matchroom.live, the streaming service. Albin Aushin starts off against Skylar Woodward. That should be interesting. So too the next couple of contests. Al-Qaedi against Filler. Filler against Jason Shaw. Skylar Woodward plays Omar Al-Shaheen, looking to pad his points total. And then finally, Shane Van Boening. That could be a really crunch encounter against Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz. And talking of Shane Van Boening, he gets things underway on table 1 in just a moment against Alexander Kazakis. Saturday wasn't a particularly fruitful day for Shane Van Boening, but it certainly was for his opponent, Alexander Kazakis. With me in the commentary box, it is Michael McMullen. And now, getting down from 10 to 6, I think that's going to be so intriguing as the day progresses.
Yeah, I thought yesterday turned out to be a really good day in the end, Phil. Very slow start, a few drawn-out matches, some complaints over the racking. But by the time we got to the evening, it felt like the whole picture was changing every 10 or 15 minutes. We saw some wonderful performances, some fantastic shot making in the course of the evening session. And we've been doing a lot of head scratching, haven't we? And we're pretty clear now. We think 15 is the target to get through. So Jason Shaw is the only player who can be comfortable. He's still got 4 matches to go anyway. He's already on 15. But Shane Van Boening, as we've said, a disappointing day yesterday, and of all the players whose prospects of getting through declined yesterday, I think it applies to him more than anyone. But I know he's been up early this morning, working away very intensely on the practice table. But his first shot of the day, a very similar story to much of what was going on from yesterday. Breaking well from a technical point of view, but not getting the joy.
Yes, I'm not being an apologist for Van Boening, but he did not have the best of luck when it came to his breaks. They were good for the most part, very good. As was that safety. Look at this. What an escape. Did well to hit the 2. What followed, obviously, was beyond his control. The 4 won't go past the 6.
Extension code.
But of course he can pot the 4, knock the 6 in. Or shall I say, hit the 4 and knock the 6 in.
Yeah, that was one of those that wasn't guaranteed. He looks very frustrated with it, though. Not least because he's left an absolute sitter for Van Boening. This is a real chance to run this out. Shane Van Boening was talking on the interview we saw with him yesterday about how he had to stay patient after a dismal Wednesday in which he lost all 3 matches. Finished off by going down 5-0 to Lucius Yap and 5-1 to Mieszko Fortunski. As he said, he kept his head, didn't panic. Came out strongly the next day and won all of his first 3 matches on Thursday. Well, he needs to show those qualities again after a very poor Saturday in which he played 4 matches. And the only player he beat was someone who's down near the bottom of the table, Mieszko Fortunski.
Well judged. And he overrun that. The 8 ball might have caused some consternation. They have played before, of course, in this tournament in phase 1. Van Boening won 5-3. We've had an American success already. The first rack on table 2 has fallen to Skylar Woodward at Albin Aushin's expense.
Shane Van Boening set to complete a US double. He leads Alex Kazakis 1-0. That's a huge match, that, on the other table. There's an expression you'll be hearing a lot today, given how tight things are. Woodward and Aushin both on 13. Woodward has got 4 matches to go. Aushin has got 5. As we're saying, we think 15's the target. We did see on Friday at the end of phase 1 how our perceptions kept shifting throughout the day. Towards the end of it, we reckon 7 would be safe. 6 may or may not get you through, and that was exactly how it turned out.
Around him, certainly just behind him, played more matches. That gives him a level of security, but a victory here, that would really shore up the shield.
Yeah, we look just below the top 6. To underline what you're saying, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz on 12. He has to win all his remaining matches to get to 15. And David Al-Qaedi can't even get to 15. Best he can get now is 14. And it is still just about theoretically possible that could do. But you would have to say, even if the man from Spain was to win his 3 remaining matches, the greater likelihood is that he'd still miss out.
Extension code.
Well, that looked rather clumsy. It was because the one ball went straight through the gap. Now, the shot he's left on the one is a little thinner than it might appear. But if it goes in, what a chance.
10 seconds.
I can tell you that Albin Auschen has just drawn level with Skylar Woodward on the other table. It's 1-1.
Auschen probably can't believe he's in the position he is. Still with serious work to do to get through to the next phase. Winning all of his first 10 matches. He's only had 3 more wins out of 9 since then. It would be absolutely astonishing if he was to miss out on the final phase from the position he was in. But it's not beyond the realms.
Now, that wasn't the best of contacts, actually. You heard a clunk rather than a click. The last thing he wanted to do, of course, was to overrun the cue ball and possibly come in behind the 9 to obscure his path to the 4.
Extension
That was never
code.
going to happen after that contact. But, of course, he's now come up a little short on the 4. That meant delicacy needed to avoid the 8. Just checking to see whether the 5 will pass the 6, and it most certainly will.
He desperately wants to be in that final day, doesn't he? It's been other players, the likes of Filler, Auschen, Jason Shaw, have been winning the most prestigious titles in the game over the last few years. And so many of those younger stars will make up the bulk of tomorrow's 6-man field. He wants to be in there to show that he can still be competitive at this level.
In potting, the 7 had to make contact with a 9. But it's all worked out okay. That early morning paying dividends already. He's looked sharp, he's looked motivated. Shane van Boening into a 2-0 lead over Alexander Kazakis, and if he wins this match by a hefty margin, he will leapfrog Kazakis in the table. So let's take our first view of table 2 this morning. First couple of racks shared between Auschen and Woodward.
Woodward was telling me yesterday he's going on from here to a tournament in Louisiana. He's saying his main motivation for wanting to go there is to sample the local crawfish. I know you've spent a lot of time in various parts of America over the years, Phil. Is that something you've enjoyed in the past?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The seafood on that Gulf Coast is simply wonderful. The neighbouring state of Mississippi has that resort town Biloxi, and you can get some extraordinary seafood there.
I really want to see a television series, Phil Yates Does America. It would be the greatest thing ever shown on television.
I've told you before this week, Michael, don't exaggerate.
Well, I'd enjoy it.
Shane van
The
Boening to
anecdotes
break,
and the
waiting
stories
back to
along the
back
way,
now.
some of which would even be true.
What is true, undoubtedly, is that Shane van Boening is 2-0 up. He came close to a scratch there. Don't know what the big groan was. Look at the white. On its way. Saved by the 7.
Well, the two of you both made extraordinary noises at almost exactly the same time there. It's like a couple of old men waking up in the morning.
That is such a great shot, it really is. To judge the speed of the cue ball, forget the pot, which was not easy in itself. Not happy with this though, because although the 4 down the rail, that's just meat and drink to Van Boening, he's now got the problem of the 5 and the 6. Yes, he can make the combination 5 and 6,
Extension
but he
call.
needs to get right behind it to make that much easier. That means perhaps manufacturing an angle, certainly hitting with speed. Can hear a phone going off somewhere. Now he's not directly behind the 5, but this should be in his capability range.
Well, at least it's only a phone. Last night there was a wedding disco going on. We could hear the sound of that all the way into the arena. Ooh, but issues for Van Boening as he tries to boogie his way into a 3-0 lead. This isn't what was in the script.
He's pulled off a couple of really thin cuts already in this rack. Oh, and there's another. This run out was not simple. And is there going to be one more twist? The cue ball stopped in time. Shane Van Boening has put on a really good display so far. 3 excellent racks. In my opinion, the last one we've just seen was the best of the bunch. He's in control against Alexander Kazakis.
Rack 4, Alex Kazakis to break, trailing by 3 racks to 0.
Daunting prospect for Alexander Kazakis here at the Predator Q's Premier League pool. Not only is he 3-0 down to Shane Van Boening, but his opponent is playing superbly.
Well, we always say you can never really tell exactly how a break has turned out until all the balls have come to rest. One over the pocket there. The cue ball is just nestled in next to the 2. And the cueing makes this a good deal more difficult. Yeah, the pot wasn't really the problem. But cueing like that, position took a bit of care. And that's okay. But needs another good shot here.
Let me quickly tell you, Skylar Woodward now leads 2-1 against Albin Ocean on table 2.
Extension code.
Like so much of yesterday for Kazakis, Phil, nothing coming easy here.
It isn't, and this is a real pressure shot.
And as so often happens, when you can't get ideal position, if you don't get back into it, it catches up with you big time eventually.
And this was a classic example. Look, the 4-ball did not go in sweetly. Had that ball been pocketed into the middle of the target, he wouldn't have snookered himself. Don't tell me this is in. Oh. We've talked a lot about the need to make the most of your chances. Kazakis did not do so there. We've also talked a lot about the need to accumulate points. But it's not only that. You want a really good racks difference. And Shane Van Boening here could really improve in that department.
Well, it's a chance now for his first 5-0 win of the week. And this is just what he needed, isn't it? After the struggles of yesterday, comprehensive win. Good, strong performance. Certainly delivering the performance. The win may not be far in arriving. Looked inevitable once he had got that chance. Shane Van Boening on the hill, and he's breaking next.
As for Albin Ocean, it's a much more evenly contested match on the other table. He's a couple of balls away from drawing level at 2-2 with Skylar Woodward. Actually, if Ocean loses this match and Van Boening wins 5-0 against Kazakis, Van Boening would actually improve 2 places in the table.
Albin Ocean wins the 4th rack.
2-2 it is. Just thinking, you know, Michael, okay, it's a shorter race. It's not quite as high profile. But what we're seeing here on table 1 is role reversal to last year's World Pool Masters final when, against all the odds, Alexander Kazakis whitewashed Shane Van Boening 9-0.
Yeah, it's just one of the most extraordinary finals we've ever seen. Indeed, he'd been in the final of the World Masters And its previous staging, which was such a famous match in a completely different way. He looked like he might win that by a whitewash when he went 5-0 up on David O'Cady, but as we've reflected so often, he ended up losing 9-8 in a dramatic finish. But it was such a contrast for Kazakis to his semi-final. He just scraped through 7-6 against Declan Catchy. Nobody could have foreseen what was going to happen in that final, and how he celebrated afterwards in the arena. Really was like he'd got a monkey off his back after what had happened against O'Cady 2 years earlier.
A little short of pace off the 1 ball onto the 2. And of course the 8 went in off the break.
He really has played well this morning. Times, some of the matches he's lost, he's actually played pretty well, and get to the end of it and wonder, well, how on earth did he not get the win there? And Kazakis is just the sort of player who will beat you in those circumstances.
The time he's spending here is a reflection of the fact he knows this is the crunch shot.
Extension code.
That's why he's called the extension. The 3, that's obviously going to be potted, but with the 9 and the 5 causing positional issues, no certainty to drop on the 4. Just played it safe. Didn't try to be overly ambitious.
Really good news for Van Boening, if he can wrap this up here, is that he's straight back on to play Omar Al Shaheen, who clearly is heading out of the tournament today. And after this performance and the result that looks to be just a few balls away now, he'll go into that feeling very confident that he can get another win, and he'll really have transformed his entire situation in this tournament right at the start of today's play.
Nearly overcut the 5, so that's why the cue ball is run on fractionally, but he's okay. This has been a terrific performance, one of the best of the entire week for me, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. Great start to the day.
Well, a contrasting start to yesterday when our first match lasted around 1 hour and 20 minutes. This one is over in half an hour. Shane Van Boening destroying the racks